Hi, and welcome back. This is lesson number 6. So in this lesson, I kind of want to take a step back. So far, we've addressed the importance of asking the right questions and the importance of collecting the right sources to answer those questions. One thing I've found often gets overlooked in this research, if you're not an expert, is the broader context of individual persecution, the persecution of your individual client. But if you truly want to understand and be able to explain to an asylum officer or immigration judge why your client's persecution goes deep into history, deep into politics, deep into society, the persecution is evident if you look at it from different angles. To do all this, you need to understand how to work with context, how to contextualize, how to triangulate. Practically, this isn't something you'll be doing as a whole separate step, but it's something you can be doing throughout the research process by simply keeping an eye out in your sources for contextual statements that will allow you to frame or triangulate the evidence persuasively. So what I'll talk about in this lesson more specifically are the 4 contexts of persecution and how seeing those contexts or seeing an applicant's claims through those contexts can help you really lock in on the severity and nature of your client's persecution. And this is an exercise I call triangulation. So focusing on these dimensions can help you provide a crucial framework and show that persecution lies at the intersection of many contexts which make up a country's society. I'll then show you how you can triangulate in this way by simply paying attention for contextual information in the 7 types of sources, and I'll try to illustrate by showing you how I was able to do this in the case of Jay from Cameroon. So I found it helpful in my own research to see persecution as occurring at the intersection of 4 contexts. So to really identify individual persecution, you kind of need these 4 contexts to surround it, so to speak. And these 4 contexts are a country's socio-political system, the conflicts in a country or the country of origin, past and present, known human rights abuses in the country of origin, and the country of origin's government's capacity and or willingness to protect its citizens. And the way I see this is I see these 4 contexts as giving you the ability to reach into your sources and identify them by just asking the right questions. So if you're, say, researching a new country or a new kind of case, or actually even a case that you're familiar with, I think I propose that you ask some crucial questions to help you identify the context in the sources that you've collected. So these questions here are additional to those types of questions that you would start out with. They're additional to those. Those are really primary questions. These are secondary questions, and they're nonetheless important because asking and answering these secondary questions just helps you see the bigger picture of where your client is coming from and the situation he or she faced. So here are some of these questions. I'm not going to go over them in detail. Here's just a few of them under the context of a country's socio-political system and its history. It's useful to ask who's in power and what kind of political system it is, and which groups are advantaged and disadvantaged. Under conflicts, past and present, you may consider asking which groups and actors are involved and which are known to commit abuses. All this is in the research guide, which is why I'm not going into it in detail here. Instead, I want to give you an example to just show you how this can be done in practice. Again, the example comes from the case of Jay from Cameroon. So Cameroon for me was a new case. I never worked on Cameroon before. So triangulation became really important to understand the client's claims. So I asked the questions about the 4 dimensions, in the sources that I'd collected. And through that exercise, I was able to find the following in the different sources. For example, I could find that how numerous sources describe the political system as authoritarian. I could see that several sources show that the government systematically persecutes opposition parties. I could see that some party documents show that the opposition is clearly democratic, but that it can't exercise its political freedom. So here you can see again how triangulation does a lot of work for me in helping me understand the client's claims. And taken together, I was able to paint a pretty decent picture of the 4 dimensions in the case of Jay, as you can see here, just by reading the sources that I'd collected, so no additional sources. I arrived at a sound understanding of how persecution plays out in Cameroon for someone like Jay. As you can see here, I could get a good grasp of how the Cameroon works or operates under an authoritarian political system where the power is concentrated in the president. I could see how the political conflicts between the ruling party and opposition parties are pretty long-standing. I could see how the government is known to commit abuses, including arbitrary detention and torture, and how it represses political parties. And I could see how the government is unwilling to protect its citizens because it's responsible for the persecution. So all the courts, the police, the military, the prisons all obey the dictates of the government. This exercise may sound or appear daunting, but it actually doesn't have to take that long. I think it can be useful or really useful in the event that you have a client from just a new country and you're just unsure if that country is safe or not. You're unsure of the applicant's claims. If you're unsure, use this approach and just do a quick review of the sources and see where the country lands on the map of these 4 dimensions. I think that can really help you decide if there's a case there or not, and can really get you to feel confident about your legal theory. Okay, you can now move on to the next lesson.